about the size and scope of the oil operations up on the North Slope. One analogy out there is that it's like a stamp on a football field.
Yeah, that's pretty accurate. It is. Or we hear the analogy also, which is quite accurate. It's like the lot that you have with your house plopped in the middle. You put your toe print on the lawn of this lot. That's about the footprint of this operation up in Prudhoe Bay. Economically speaking, though, it's about 20% of the U.S. domestic supply of energy is produced up on the North Slope up in Prudhoe.
But people think of it as sort of so expansive and so massive that it's going to have a material effect if, in fact, we were to see drilling there on the wildlife and on the community.
Well, ANWR, that plane, it's about 2,000 acres that is being asked to be looked at and to be explored and then to be produced. 2,000 acres out of 20 million acres. That footprint, it's about the size of LAX, or one of the larger airports across the nation. That should allow some perspective there also.
President Bush tried this a number of times under his watch. Why is it that we have been unable to actually get this done?
I think there's a lot of misperceptions and misconceptions about what ANWR is all about and what up on the North Slope, what the environment actually is up there. You see pictures, you see visuals from the naysayers, the critics of the idea of opening ANWR, and the pictures that they're showing are mountains and polar bears, lots of different wildlife. They'll show moose in a stream with mountains in the background. That's not ANWR. I do think, though, that Americans are recognizing more and more. It's evidence in the pressure that they're putting on Congress at this point, the constituents putting on Congress. More and more Americans are recognizing it is time to ramp up American supply of energy, especially we're at a nation at war. A lot of the issues that are so adversely affecting America are based on energy supplies, as we're relying on foreign sources of energy to feed our hungry markets. More and more Americans are recognizing your sister state up in the Arctic, Alaska, has these supplies. We have trillions of cubic feet of clean natural gas. We have billions of barrels of oil.
What then are the major consequences of drilling in ANWR? I was reading a piece earlier that said, look, it will impact the breeding of caribou, the breeding of polar bears. Give me your sense. What are the consequences?
Well, let's look at lessons learned over the last 30 years when the Trans-Alaska oil pipeline was finally allowed to be built. And there were the threats then and the fears that the caribou herds would diminish and die off. And no, the caribou herds are actually thriving. They're flourishing. When you consider the naysayers, the kind of the fear-mongers 30 years ago before the Trans-Alaska oil pipeline was built. And remember, that pipeline has supplied 15 billion barrels of oil into our domestic supplies here in America. And by the way, Joe Biden was one who voted against that Trans-Alaska oil pipeline 30 years ago. He was fearful of allowing ramped up domestic supplies of energy even then. So, of course, I fear that if he's of the same mind today, we're in a world of hurt there.
How will you protect Alaskans' homes? They're in debate where on the one side people say, drill, drill, drill. On the other side, people are saying, look, we need to keep this area pristine.
Well, and we need to drill, 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 though. Otherwise, I cannot believe that a domestic solution is any part of a national energy policy if they're not going to let Alaskans drill on our own lands and on federal lands within our own state. And if a domestic solution isn't part of a national energy plan, then our nation is in a world of hurt. We're going to continue to be reliant on foreign dangerous regimes to feed our hungry markets. We have lacked a national energy policy also. We have not had a plan. Alaska should be a leader in this plan because we have the conventional, the non-renewable supplies, the petroleum. We have them up here. We also have the renewables also. We have the largest tides on the continent. We have the geothermal. We have the winds. We have all these alternative renewable sources that also can be tapped into as we work collectively and comprehensively on an energy plan.
So as a nation, we need to be doing everything.
We need to be doing everything, and people need to be realistic also. And this is also what kind of scares me about Biden and Obama also is it seems to be almost a naive notion of theirs that we can just automatically jump right into a renewable supply of energy to feed hungry markets across our nation when these renewables are not yet proven to be economic nor reliable. But it's got to be doing everything that we can to allow the domestic supplies, renewable and non-renewable, to be tapped, solutions plugged in from both those ends, and not just skip the oil and the gas developments and the coal development also that we have to have as part of a comprehensive plan. It's naive to think that we can go right to renewables and think that that's ever going to work for our nation today at this time.